All right. I was going to say good evening, but on a different time zone. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome to Frenchman Art and Books, and we are broadcasting live with YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, so it'll be recorded in case you want to review it again. I'm David Zalkind. I'm the owner of Frenchman Art and Books, and we are incredibly glad, Calvin, that you could come to our bookstore. You have been interviewed on NPR, Fresh Air, New York Times, all over the country. And so we really appreciate you coming to an independent bookstore. I know you've visited some others, and thank you.
No, thank you all. Thank you. It's an honor, really.
Well, you have been a powerhouse of a person. You've been a catalyst. This location is somewhat centric to what has happened to you since 1982, or even earlier. I believe that you lived on Cluett Street.
Yes, I grew up in the Ninth Ward on Cluett Street in the Desire Project area. Mm-hmm. Sometime in the housing project, and sometime on Cluett Street. And I still remember the address, 3311 Cluett.
Have you visited that location?
Yeah. Sometime I pass.
Yeah.
I just drive through. Because in prison, I never thought that I'd be able to see that area again. So I just, every now and then, I just say, let me see how I feel just to visit my old neighborhood.
Well, in 1981, about a mile and a half away, a murder occurred. In 1982, you were falsely accused of that.
Yeah.
And the location was on Esplanade Avenue, right on a bus stop next to Tasty Donuts. That's what
a block, 2 blocks from Claiborne. Tasty's Donut is like 4 or 5 blocks farther. If you're traveling, I guess that would be, west.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even go there.
Yeah.
Toward the lake or toward the river?
Okay, towards the lake. The lake.
So, you were 19 years old, and at that time you were somewhere far away in the Pacific Northwest. Am I right?
Yep.
Tell me as a 19-year-old, what was on your mind? What was your trajectory at that time?
So I grew up just like a lot of my other friends. We grew up knowing 2 things was going to happen to us. We was going to go to prison at a young age or get killed at a young age. And I always felt as though that I was responsible for my sister. She's mentioned in the book. Because my mom died when I was 7, she was 6. I have 2 older brothers, so we was kind of shuffled around a lot. And I wanted something better for myself. As a matter of fact, I always wanted to go to the military. And so I was just trying to get away, really, and I left. I went to California, then I signed up for the Job Corps. That was like the second time I've been to the Job Corps. And they sent me to Portland, Oregon, Mount Hood. And it was there that all the trauma from just growing up here and experiencing abuse as a kid, I thought I had finally made it out. And then and from the Job Corps, I was going to actually go to the military. So I was really just trying to get away from New Orleans, not to be a part of that statistic that all of us was being a part of. And as kids, we grew up, even in the book, it talked about this song that we sung. As kids, it rhymed with the age that we was going to go to prison. And we would sit in groups in a Desire Housing Project. I don't know where that song came from. And we didn't know where it was at Angola that we say, man, what? You remember we just sang this prison song? Oh, you would like to hear a little bit of it?
Yeah.
So we would be in groups, and I'm gonna just start it off, and you would be number 2, and Robbie would be number 3. So he go like Angola. When I was one, they booked me for shooting that gun. Way down yonder on that farm, picking that cotton all day long, Angola. And then you was going, when I was two,
I don't know if I
they
can do
booked
this.
me for sniffing that glue. And you would say, now way down yonder on. And then Robbie would do some other kind of dance. When I was three, they booked me for shooting that tree. Then somebody was, when I was 4, when I was 7, they booked me for trying to go to heaven. We sung those prison songs as kids, not knowing they really had a system was gonna make that our reality.
Oh my gosh.
And it became all of our reality. And especially in the Desire Housing Project, like a landmark case is Curtis Kyle's. Curtis Kyle grew up on Desire Street, was sentenced to death.
Mm-hmm.
A landmark decision, and so in prison we
Cosby with
yeah, that's right, Cosby versus Whitley. So here we are, kids singing these songs with the trauma of being bounced around. Everybody's, we watching all these terrible things happen. And here I am trying to get away. And I left. And
So how did you leave here? By train?
by car.
By car.
My relative was visiting, and I said, I got to go. Because everybody was, we was getting killed. It was, the 80s was crazy. People was on drugs.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Like, I think about the drugs now. They was on teas and blues, and it was a blue pill and that another pill, and things was really crazy. And I was just really trying to escape my fate, but looked like fate would have had it had its way with me, and I wound up going to prison.
So you were in Portland, Oregon, you're in Mount Hood, and from what I read, you were looking to become a welder. Is that correct?
As a matter of fact, welding was my trade.
It was your trade.
And I really completed it, and I became the shop foreman. And then I was on a clothing run, because in Job Corps after 3 months they give you a voucher to go get some clothes. And the man, I don't know his name, he told me that, look, Calvin, we got to get back to the Job Corps. You got to visit us. I'm like, well, who's gonna be visiting me? And it was two detectives from Oregon, and they told me that it's a warrant for my arrest for New Orleans. And I'm trying to explain to them that's a mistake. And they twisted everything that I was trying to tell them. I was trying to, no, this is a mistake. And it's gonna work itself out. But then they said no, but they had to arrest me, and I was arrested. Then later went to court and was extradited to New Orleans.
This was in 1982.
That was 1982. I was 19 years old at the time.
And you've never been back to Portland?
Since then?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my safe place. When New Orleans beat me up, I go to Portland. Because it was there that I found so much peace as a kid.
Yeah. Being
in the mountains among the trees, and although it had its issues, there a real race issue up there, and but it was so peaceful there, and it was a few of us from in some inner city areas, and it's just something about being among those trees. I always I told my classmates in law school that if they ever on Mount Hood and they see a bear, don't shoot it. That's me. But it was there that I found so much peace. And as a matter of fact, we used to think it's a movie that I always watched to remind me of that innocent age. It's The Last of the Mohicans.
Oh, wow.
Where it starts off and they're running, that deer. And we thought we could actually trap a deer. Like, my friends, you get on that end, I'm on that end. And we would try, we never caught the deer though. But it was, sometime I'll watch that movie just to remind me of them innocent days when I was in Job Corps.
Well, it's thinking about you studying to be a welder, you were certified to be a welder, and I'm thinking about how circumstances in your life have welded you to this moment of time where you, today, from what we see, you have managed to get the state of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans fighting with each other. And you're sitting back saying,
Yeah, now I can relax. I still get beat up. I'm tired of getting beat up all the time.
I mean, how, in your wildest ever dreams at 19 years old, could you have ever imagined you'd be sitting here telling your story like this?
No, yeah. As a matter of fact, sometimes some of my friends they say, "Man, you ever imagine we'll be out of prison?" In prison, I always had hope that I would get out, but then the laws change. And in the book it talks about how, really, it's a witness of how we watch, come from this before the 60s when it was like, okay, none of the Bill of Rights applies to the state, only for the federal, and all these privileges, and they wasn't applicable to the states. And then watching in the 60s where the Supreme Court constantly said, yeah, the Bill of Rights applies. And then watched it in the 80s. In the 70s, in the 80s just get eroded. And
that's what the Reagan administration.
yes,
Yeah.
and then being on the, once I got to New Orleans, they put me on this unit of guys that had already had the death penalty. Some of them had a life sentence, and some had done like 15 years, and they was returning to court for to be resentenced.
Mm-hmm.
And I was explaining to them, those guys, that I didn't commit the crime that I was in prison for. And they would say, well, man, look, you're going to get executed. And I'm like, but I didn't do it. He said, look, you got the same lawyer that I have. You got the same judge that I have. You got the same prosecutor that I had. And besides that, the victim is a white young man. And the witness is a young lady. So
Yeah.
they was telling me I was going to get executed. And it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, how can I help myself? And that's when they told me that I had to become a lawyer.
So this brings us to when you realized that no one's going to help you but yourself. No lawyer had to take the time to pay attention to you. You and many others as well. But what moment did you realize that you could actually do this yourself, that you could actually defend yourself? What was it? Did you wake up in the middle of the night saying, I can do this? Did you read a book?
So I only had between like an 8th and 9th grade education.
Yeah.
And so they're telling me that I had to learn the law. I said, okay, I'm going to learn the law. But the problem that we had was that they didn't have any legal material. The parish jail. I always would say that the Orleans Parish Prison back then was hell.
Yeah.
And eventually I always said, well, Angola was paradise. Because it was, and so they're telling me that I had to learn the law, but it's no law books. But what I would do it, and I don't know why, I didn't think about bringing it. No disrespect to anybody, I used to enjoy. First, I used to always make sure I was the one to get the newspaper. And I used to enjoy when wealthy people got arrested for things. I did. Because they always put some law in the article. And so I started creating my own law book. And I would, in this one case, you would remember Aaron Mintz.
Yeah. I was just thinking of that.
Aaron Mintz.
Aaron Mintz, you must
I
have
still got
jumped
Aaron
out there.
Mintz
I remember
newspaper
Aaron Mintz.
articles,
Yeah.
and I was creating my own law book.
Yeah.
And so all these wealthy, when they would get arrested, they'd put newspaper articles.
Aaron Mintz, correct me if I'm wrong, was the one that shot his wife in the pillow? Yeah, okay. Just so you all know.
Yeah,
This was serious.
Very wealthy. So every time they wrote something about in the newspaper, they would say something about the law. And I would cut it out, and then, you know, like I always say, enough wealthy people wasn't getting arrested, so that access to learning the law was limited. So I was in a dungeon. I said, I got to get me a law book. And sometimes when I would go to court, I would see this criminal code of procedure on a desk, on the prosecutor's side and my lawyer's side. And I said, that's the book I need to get. And so I prepared a motion, a handwritten motion. And when I'm talking to law students, I'm always saying, don't do this. They'll flunk you out of law school. I titled the motion, a motion for a law book.
And here
Yes.
it is. We're going to distribute this to you all.
Wonderful.
This is exact copy.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the motion. And I titled a motion for a law book, and I sent it to the wrong court. I sent it to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court said, look, I know you're learning the law. You're fresh at this. You got to start at the lower level. But they did grant it. And I explained to the Supreme Court, look, I'm facing first-degree murder. And the government position is that I should be executed. But there's no law library here for me to learn the law. And they granted it, they remanded it to the Court of Appeals, then to the trial court, and I ultimately got the law book. And so to answer your question, when I knew I could do it, when this motion was granted, I knew I was a lawyer then. Seriously, like. And then I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to talk like a lawyer. Although I couldn't pronounce the words, I wanted to dress like a lawyer. And then there's a picture, and we'll get to that, about the shoes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I heard yes. How do you tell a good lawyer?
About the shoes, say, it's a pair. I wanted the lawyer glasses. I wanted the lawyer shoes, and I wound up getting the shoes. And I said, I'm gonna hold these shoes, so when I get out of prison, when I get free, I was gonna actually be the wear. But by the time I put them on, they had, as I would when I was being released, and we're gonna get to that, I finally put the shoes on. And as I was getting to the front gate, they just was falling apart. Clap.
Oh,
clap,
no.
Clap. They had dry rotted.
Oh, no.
But it didn't stop me. There's a picture of me coming through the gate, one shoe in my hand. I said, I'm getting out of this place. So the picture with one shoe in my hand, one on my feet, and I'm walking, and people said, look. But as I got closer to the gate, it just clap, clap, clap. And,
Can't
yeah.
you see a movie here? Wow.
Yes. So I had to learn the law, and then once I got the law book, and then being on this unit with other people, they was innocent, and it was like, now they telling me their problems, and they didn't come from a, it wasn't, my background was really, my abuse was way worse than them, and they taking it really hard because, they and I'm hearing their problems, and they telling me they're innocent, and this and that, and John Thompson, and I'm like, whoa, okay.
Everybody's innocent.
And now I'm playing like I'm a lawyer. So now they telling me their problem.
Right.
And then I said, well, something, I could do this. And I started filing. As a matter of fact, I always would refer to myself back then as a civil rights lawyer, because I would file civil suits against the parish jail for the inhumane treatment they was imposing on us. And I would file the 1983 action. I would go to court. I would represent myself. Couldn't pronounce the words. And I can share this with you. One time I went to court, and I didn't want the Sheriff Forded lawyers. I was learning about cross-examination, the art of cross-examination. I get a chance to do it. But I didn't want them to cross-examine me. And I was like, okay, what's the first? They're going to try to destroy my credibility. I'm learning these concepts. And I said, okay, they're going to try to question me about what I'm in prison for. So I filed a motion to stop them from asking me what I was in prison for. And so I asked a friend of mine, he's in the book, Joe Washington. I said, man, how you pronounce this word? And he said, look, when you go to court, you tell that judge, Your Honor. I said, Your Honor, the judge was Michelle Wynn. And I said, look, I filed this motion. I filed this motion to stop the process from the defense lawyer from asking me questions that would impeach my credibility. I got it all wrong. And the judge was like, well, what motion? I said, you got it. You got it. I know you got it because I got a certified court. She said, what's the name of the motion? I said, it's a motion of lime, Your Honor. She said, motion of lime. I said, yeah, you got it. You had ruled on my motion. And then the law clerk came and she said, let me see it. He said, Your Honor, it's a motion of limited. I said, that's the motion.
That's the motion.
That's the motion I'm talking about. And she said, denied.
Denied.
Is it denied? It's probably because I pronounced the name wrong. It's a motion of limited, but it looked like lime. Is it L-I-M? That's probably most of what I saw. So I said the motion of lime. And then my friend Joe Washington, he's in the book. He said that's the motion of lime. And then when I went back to the jail, I said, why you told me that's the motion of lime? So yeah. So listening to those guys about what situation they was in, and now I'm trying to help them, and I'm trying to help myself. And I just fell in love with law, really. Is that, and then I learned a lot in learning the law.
So in Angola, 28 and a half years, how many of those years were you actually the jailhouse lawyer?
Well, so I think, 2 months after I was in Orleans Parish jail,
Yeah.
I wound up going to the dungeon. I had 2 fights. I was still young. You know how young people, how crazy we get. And I had 2 fights. They put me in a dungeon. And what started me, knowing that I had to help myself, I don't know where I got the Bible from, but I opened the Bible, and I came across this part in Proverbs, where God say, when I call, you refuse, and when you get in trouble, when destruction come upon you as a whirlwind, then you're gonna call. Then I would laugh at your calamity, and I'm like, whoa. Look like God is telling me I'm on my own. And so I started right then and there. I filed in 1983 suits for guys that was coming home from the parish, from Angola, because something about Angola, everybody got a hockey look. You know what the hockey look is, right? All the hockey players, all they front teeth is gone. Everybody got that hockey look. And I eventually got the hockey look too. And so guys was coming from Angola, and they was feeding us this meat. We always called it horse meat. And these guys, they have no dentures. Angola wasn't giving them dentures. So I'm like, and I'm looking at these older guys. They trying their best to devour that, So I used to file a suit on their behalf, prepare for them, and they were sending out. And my argument was that the jail is violating those guys' 8th Amendment right against cruel and unusual punishment, because having us to eat that food they was giving us, and our digestive system struggling, and before you know it, the parish jail started giving them dentures. So I started a long time ago, but by the time I got to Angola, I had already had the reputation as being a person that would sue the administration. And so before I got to Angola, the guys that was telling me what's gonna happen to me, they was right. They said my lawyers wasn't gonna come see me. And my lawyers didn't come see me. They came and saw me the night before my trial to see if I had a suit to wear. Right. And we went to trial, and the government position was that death penalty. Yeah. And they presented their case. And I always say I would have convicted me back then, because they, the witness is saying that's the person that killed my boyfriend. And the detective that arrested me saying that I made incriminating statements
And that was the
then
one
the-
in Oregon.
in Oregon.
Yeah.
And then the police saying
Yeah.
that we got information that
Right.
Calvin is one did it.
Yeah.
And so now I'm listening to all of this, and the jury convicted me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had to go after they said, look, the jury said they found me guilty. And then they had to go to the penalty phase
Mm-hmm.
where they determined whether I should get life in prison or the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, the jury recommended that I spend the rest of my life in prison. And by that time, now I definitely know I got to get some legal material. I got to become a real lawyer now. Not waiting for newspaper articles and to come out from some wealthy person being arrested. But they would, they generally would keep us in the parish jail for years and years because they was getting a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the thing. You keep them,
That's why
once you're convicted, you
Yeah.
keep them in a parish jail. You get a lot. They was making a lot of money off of. So because I had so many suits, I had a lot of them. I'm talking about they look at me wrong. I'm suing them. And so I wound up going to court one time, and I told the Sheriff Foley lawyer. His
Oh,
name
yeah.
is Mr. Matthews. I would like to. I don't know if he's still alive, but I'd like to find out if just see if he remember. And I said, look, if you send me to Angola, I dismiss my suits. And 2 weeks later, I was on that bus going to Angola. And how I got to Angola was I had to agree to dismiss my suit because I needed to get to
Yeah.
the law library.
Right.
And once I got to the law library, once I got to Angola, then I knew I could get to the library because good guys was telling me, once you get to Angola, they got a library, you could go in there. They got them inmate, back then the title was inmate counsel substitute. And I knew, once I got there, I would be all right.
All right, let's jump ahead a little bit. All this experience that you've had and all this fascination with the law and seeing how you could manipulate it in your favor to the extent you could. So you're out. 2011, you're out?
Yes.
Okay. And you're thinking about going to school.
Okay, but I was so in prison.
Yeah.
Not only was I a lawyer,
Yeah.
I was a professor. I taught law for 15 years
While you were
in prison. I was kind of like the nutty professor
you taught law in prison.
in prison.
Okay.
To other guys, to empower them to advocate on their own behalf as well. Because after a lot of people don't understand here in Louisiana, once your conviction is affirmed, upheld, the government doesn't give you a lawyer. What they do in prison, they train people like me to become lawyers to help
Right,
people
inside.
on their cases. So you don't have a lawyer. What you have is a person like me,
Right.
learning the law, trying to do the best. So what we would do is
Yeah.
review people's transcripts
Yeah.
and review their cases, and if we determine that they wasn't afforded a fair trial, or if they're innocent, we sent out letters trying to get the documents to prove they're innocent. And so so I was teaching law, and some of my students, they out, and they always would say, Calvin, I remember you used to always say when you get out, you're going to law school, and we would always say, Calvin crazy, Calvin ain't never getting out of this place, and he talking about law school. So back then, I always was saying, if I ever get out of this place, I'm going to law school.
All right. So you decided to go to Lewis and Clark.
Okay, so before that,
Okay.
I am a lawyer.
Yeah.
Lawyers long-winded. Lawyers like to talk, So I got out January the 7th, 2011. That was a Friday. Tuesday, I was on Tulane campus. And when I got there, I'm trying to figure out how to go to law school. And the first thing I learned about that is you just can't go to law school. You got to go get this thing they call an undergrad. And I'm like, what is an undergrad? I subsequently learned what all that is.
I don't know. You spent 28 years in undergrad.
Yeah. So, and I went and I got my degree
Yeah.
in paralegal studies from Tulane.
Yeah.
And then I was 57 by that time. I was accepted in Lewis and Clark Law School, the same place, which is Oregon. It's something about Louisiana and Oregon about the non-unanimous jury verdict. That was what. So I wound up going to Lewis and Clark, and
I'm just wondering how Lewis and Clark looked at your application and said, just give him the degree.
no, they just so in my application, so then once I get my undergrad, they tell me I got to take this crazy test they call the LSAT. I always say whoever wrote that test got to be something mentally wrong. Serious, it's like whoever wrote this thing is crazy. And so, but the good thing they told I accepted it that they didn't say, they said I had to take it, so I took it. And I got slaughtered. I probably got one question right. But the good thing, they didn't say I had to pass it, they just said I had to take it. So I took it. And then I got this score, they said, Calvin, nobody's going to accept you in the law school. Your score is, I said, oh, God, I got it. So I applied to Harvard, Yale, Princeton. I applied to some big schools, a lot of them. And the one that I wanted was Lewis and Clark. And I always wanted that because I always say it was there that my life ended. And I wanted to start back over.
Yes.
And fate would have it that I wind up going back.
That's a beautiful arc.
And and so I would, all of my applications, that's what I would have. I think why Oregon kind of like, the universe knew I wanted to go back to Portland, the Oregon. So in each one of my applications, I would start off with, I am so tired of illegally practicing law. Because that's what I've been doing all my life. And they would say, well, how you go illegal? We're in prison. We in prison. What they going to do us? And so I would say, I'm so tired of illegally practicing law. And they knew, now, you could remedy this. Let me come to law school.
Beautiful.
And yeah, I was in 2002. It was during the pandemic they accepted me. And then I got this letter saying I was accepted. I was working with the Department of Justice. And I got this letter. I said, well, look, I'm going to Portland. They said, Calvin, don't start until August. I said, I'm gone. I'm out of here. And I graduated and then came back home 2023. But prior to going to law school, when I first got out, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people I left behind. And I would go to the clerk's office to try to get our records. And New Orleans was the only place where I couldn't get our records. I would go every place, they'd give me the records, no problem. Because if you miss your date, you don't have your records, you miss your deadline. And then you definitely get executed or barred from court. So I started this organization called the Light of Justice to help people in prison get access to the courts. But I couldn't get the records from New Orleans, clerk of court. And then I realized that the people that was working, and I'm not indicting everybody that worked there, but it was obvious they didn't know by not having an adequate office how it was affecting us in prison.
Right. Yeah.
And so I gave them grace. I said, they just don't know.
Yeah.
Whenever this position become available, I'm going to run for it. But I had to go to boot camp. I had to go to law school and get my degrees and all that stuff. And I came back. And the book was released was on the Thursday. Friday, I learned that the position was open.
Oh.
2 hours before the deadline for qualifying.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, man, you sure? He said, yeah. I said, well, when the next time is going to be an election? He said, 4 years from now. I said, I can't wait 4 years. And the next day, I went qualified because I didn't want what happened to me to happen to nobody else. So I kind of like spent all the way to law school, 2023, got my JD, came back home, continued to work, help the people in prison get access to the courts. And then the book released. The next day, I learned that the position was open, and I immediately started running at the same time doing the book tour, same time back and forward. And God bless me, we won.
Alan, when did you take the bar?
So the bar thing is, so how I got out of prison, and the book talks about this, the Innocent Project. I'm a co-founder of the New Orleans Innocent Project. The name has changed. And a young lady, her name is Emily Bolton. She was a third-year law student. She came to the prison, and we was telling her, I said, look, some of us in prison for stuff we did. Don't get me wrong, but they wasn't afforded a fair trial.
Yeah.
Some of us didn't do it, but we can't get our records. We can't get the documents. And she promised that once she graduated, she was going to actually come and help us. And she graduated. She was a third-year law student at Tulane. And she came, and so she created the Innocent Project. It evolved to help us.
She created the Innocence Project, and you
so,
were a co-founder of that.
Yeah. And so, fast forward, they accepted my case. And they did the investigation that I needed. They got the documents. And now I'm ready to go to court. I got it. We filed the first thing that the judge, my judge at that time with Julian Parker. His position was, oh, you're too late. You should have got these documents 30 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
Well, I was trying to get them 30 years ago. I've been trying to get the documents. And now I got them. I'm procedurally barred. And they offered me a deal. They said, look, the prosecutor stepped in. Said, look, the best thing that we could do is the judge is not granting him a new trial, but he might, if he take an alpha plea. An alpha plea is where you maintain your innocence, but it's in your best interest to take this deal. The deal was plead guilty, maintain your innocence, and you'll go home today. And I always say that I always told the truth in my case, but that particular day, I had to really lie. I had to say I committed a crime that I didn't commit. And as I was taking that, looked like this thing just went crazy. My judge went crazy on me. And he wound up sending me back to prison. That was 2010, to spend Christmas in prison.
oh,
And then when I came back January the 7th, I took the deal and I was immediately released. And then it wasn't going to stop me. I was going to law school. And then while in law school, it would be 2021, our legislature passed a law that allowed the prosecutors and the judges and your lawyer to get together if you got evidence of innocence, and they could waive procedural hurdles. And I was subsequently exonerated.
yeah.
In 2011, my second year of law school, exonerated. And
You were the star pupil at Lewis and Clark, huh?
oh yeah, they did. I was like, it was like, yeah. I always say if I had $1 billion, I would send people that has had difficult times here in New Orleans. I would send them to Lewis and Clark just to get that, just something about. But the school, I love my classmates. I love the professors that was there. They was real, very kind. All of them, some of my classmates, one of them, her name is Emily Warsack. She saw me struggling with my computer, and she picked up. She said, "That's that man they just wrote about." And so she helped me how to, to do the online, how to do this, how to do that. But they was really helpful in helping me navigate the law school. But that experience was a good experience for me, and it was something that I had wanted to do, is to go to law school.
And I want to get to Tulane right now because you're teaching at Tulane, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get to that, your first day as a clerk of criminal clerk. How do I say that?
Look, yeah, you got it.
Okay, got it. That's going to be your last day. It was your first day and your last day.
Okay. So to give a context,
Yes.
I qualified 2 hours before the deadline.
Yeah.
And I started running. I think I only had like $35. I had no clue what I was doing. Only thing I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure what happened to me didn't happen to nobody else. And I started, so it's like, okay. So I started talking to people, saying, you know, how to be a politician. And it was like, well, this what you got to go to these, you got to go to these church, you got to go to this organization, you got to go to this one. And I started going to these organizations and were like, and then they start telling me, well, Calvin, you know, you did a good presentation, but we already promised the opponent
Yeah.
the vote. I said, why y'all asked me to come here then?
Right.
And I didn't like that. I took offense to that because now I'm like, well, no. I either got it wrong about this democracy. No, y'all, wait, I'm thinking they're the ones destroying it. Y'all destroying it. So I said, I'm not going to do it this way. So what I decided, and my team decided, was first we was going to educate people about the duties of that office. Because I had never seen nobody that was running for office. I have never. Go out and tell us, this is what this office does. This is what we do, and this is what we do. And this is what the law say. Nobody done that. And then I realized that nobody was telling anybody about the candidates. They tell you what school they went to. So my methodology, and then I'm like, well, that's not honoring people's right to vote. How is they make an intelligent decision without knowing the position and who was asking to be the one to hold that position? So we went out and started educating people about the clerk of court. And, you know, but prior to that, we learned that the records was being thrown in the landfills and this and that and this. And so I'm going out educating. You know what the clerk of court duty is? And people saying, what is the clerk of court? I didn't even know that was a position. Because, you know, it had been run by a group for a long time. And then I started telling people who I was. To honor their right to vote. Can't make that intelligent decision without knowing what the position, who it was. So here I am going around saying, my name is Calvin. I spent all my life in prison. And that's what I was. I was a jailhouse lawyer. And I worked on people's cases. Then I got out of prison. Then I went to law. I went to did this crazy thing they called the undergrad. And then it took the crazy test, the LSAT. And I'm educating people about who I am. To make sure that they be able to cast an intelligent vote. And God blessed us. They had people volunteering from everywhere. And God blessed me, and I won. And now all hell broke loose. It's like, oh, the governor, like, an attorney general, oh, who, Calvin? Oh, wow. That's what he's been doing in New Orleans. And then the thing is, in the newspaper showed that they went back in the old slavery during Reconstruction handbook. They abolished their office.
Yeah.
With the idea of making sure that I never take that office. So the law was introduced, and in the law say the day he's supposed to take the office, that's the day it goes in effect. So I filed a suit. And the federal judge said, oh no, this is unconstitutional. So I wind up going, I get this call and say, look, the judge ruled in your behalf. You could go to work. And then I went to work. But knowing our Fifth Circuit, they're very conservative. The United States Fifth Circuit, they're conservative. So here I am. That was kind of like, you know, best day. I was like, I did it. And so I always say I beat the governor out because he didn't want me in there. Now I'm in. I'm the clerk. I'm the clerk of the criminal district court. And I was a clerk for 3 hours.
They got you out by noon?
Oh yeah, it was like, Calvin, time up. You only had 3 hours to be the clerk. Hope you enjoyed it, and I did. Time up. Fifth Circuit has lifted the stay, and then I'm hearing they got all these reporters waiting for me to get evicted. I know they was waiting out there.
Yeah.
I said, damn. And then they had a lady that worked there. She said, Calvin, they she was very graceful about it. She said, Calvin, if you need to go through the back, I can show you how to get out. I said, I think I need to
You're
go
going
through
to the front
back
door.
But I was the clerk for
Yeah,
3 hours. And that was probably the best 3 hours that I had. And I was,
Well,
and I
what-
was always say I was the
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
clerk. And I got what I wanted. I
Yeah.
wanted to be the
Yeah.
clerk of the Orleans Criminal District Court.
Well, what damage could you have done in 3 hours?
The first thing I wanted to do was, first, where are those records?
Ah,
I wanted, where are the records?
yeah.
And so I took a tour. Come to find out, some of the records are in the jail. That mildew place, as soon as you go in there, you could smell it. It smelled like the old Paris jail. And I'm looking at our records. They're in the cells. They're not organized. And I'm like, whoa. I said, I could do this. I could get these records straight. I wanted to get the records scanned like everywhere else. So when parents called me all the time trying to get their child records because they got a deadline. And once you miss that deadline, that's it. You could be innocent, you could be not
Right.
innocent.
You don't get
both.
it. Yeah.
And so the first thing I was going to do,
Yeah.
first locate the records.
Yeah.
And also locate the evidence
All right.
to make sure that to make sure I could properly preserve them
Yeah.
because that is the duties of the clerk.
Right.
That was going to be my first task.
Yeah.
So immediately locating them and then go to work, getting them scanned
Yeah.
to protect them because we prone to flood in here.
Right.
And once I could protect the
Right.
evidence and the records,
Yeah.
what happened to me and the other people would never have to happen to nobody else.
So you walked down to the dungeon and you saw these papers.
Yeah, the paper. Some of the papers.
Some of the
They
papers,
just scattered.
yeah.
It's like, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
And,
you had only 2 hours left.
I didn't know I had 2 hours.
It's
I'm
like 007, you know. I got 7 minutes left before, you know. I have to
it
go.
was like, I said, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
So after the tour, some of the
Yeah.
tour, I got to meet the staff.
Yeah.
And they was happy.
You didn't fire them.
No, I wasn't firing nobody. I was going to create a pro se division where people from prison could, when they write letters,
Yeah.
make sure that they being responded.
Yeah.
'Cause when a judge make a decision, they was never telling us about it, so we was missing our deadlines. And I met the staff, and I met the employees, and,
You
and
said-
they was happy to,
Yeah.
that I was there.
Yeah.
And
You
I'm
just-
trying to plot it
Yeah,
up. I'm
yeah.
trying to say, listen, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, God.
Yeah.
And then after meeting the employees and taking a tour, I said, I need to go to HR. I got to fill out this application. Because,
Oh, yeah.
it's my first day on the job.
Right.
And then, we got the call, like, look, the
Yeah.
Fifth Circuit has
Right in the
reversed
middle.
the
Yeah.
judge. And it's the three, it was like,
Yeah,
you only
the-
had 3 hours,
Hand
Calvin,
in the
that's
keys
it.
and go. Huh?
And then I left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you spend the rest of your day?
Really, I'm gonna be honest. I went to the lake. It's something about that water.
Yeah.
I walked out on the
Yeah.
lake and just was like, I was very grateful. I'm being honest
Mm-hmm.
that I got what I set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
I went and got my undergrad. Once I realized that they didn't know how it was affecting our criminal cases, I gave them grace. And I say, well, I would be the perfect person because I know the seriousness of this job. And I wanted to be the clerk. And God he did give it to me, only for 3 hours, but I got it. And
Calvin,
history is, and now it's I'm still doing the same work. I go to, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact, Thursday I was at the clerk in Jefferson Parish, and it's so clean,
Yeah.
and nice.
Oh.
The people are nice. They don't frown up at you and stuff. They come on in. I said, can I go on the line and see? Yeah, come on in. They didn't know who I was.
oh, they didn't.
No.
Oh, they don't watch the news.
No, they didn't know. I wasn't dressed like this.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I research the guy case that I've been trying to help and looking at his documents. I spent about 3 hours just doing that. And it felt good. And I said, this the vision that I had for the clerk of court.
Yeah.
Where people can actually
Yeah.
come and review the records.
What a difference.
So I still do that. The light of justice, help people in prison get access to the court. And one of the things that we do is like when they need their documents, I go get their documents. I pay for it. I make sure that they don't have to rely on outdated law. I keep them informed about what new law, the new interpretation, and I provide them with legal material that the institution doesn't have. And then I go and I give training, and I teach at Tulane. You know, yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Calvin, I know. I think you said you wanted some iced coffee.
Well, I'm good. I'm on the road now.
All right. Well, I know you are. We have a gentleman back here, Brandon, who's got
How
a
you
coffee
doing,
truck
Brandon?
back there. Can you bring Calvin some iced coffee?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Yes. Would you like to cut this
Oh,
one?
that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take care of you guys.
What
Guys, we brought goodies for everyone in the building. As well.
Awesome.
So, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
back.
see you guys.
We can open this up to Q&A.
Yeah. Again, I'm a lawyer, so I like to talk now. So
No, Calvin said,
and I want to answer Triple question about the bar. I had not taken the bar, and the reason why I didn't take the bar initially is because once I got exonerated, I applied for the compensation, and I was, but dude Liz, her message was that if I didn't dismiss it, my request for compensation, one of the threats that she gave was if I didn't dismiss it, she was going to report me to the bar association, and make sure I didn't get past the character and fitness, because I had to actually, take an oath and say that I committed a crime that I didn't commit, and so I got kind of discouraged about that. But I was hoping that if I dismissed it, that she would go away. Oh, she didn't go away. Oh, yes. I think, no. And then on this election, she surfaced again.
Did you take the bar?
No, I hadn't taken a bar. Because my concerns is that those threats, they're like, you can't get this guy.
I'm about to say.
So I hadn't taken a bar exam yet. But I'm thinking about taking a bar exam like in Oregon. They're more a little friendlier. They would smile and say yes, as opposed to, here. But then once I get it there, it's in Louisiana is a hard place.
That was going to be my question in relationship to the bar exam and going through character fitness. One of the things to look for in character fitness is your background.
Oh, yeah.
Whether or not you have the character
Yeah.
and the personality traits
Yeah.
and the history, to protect the public's interests, to be a lawyer.
Yes, exactly.
So that was going to be my question. You partially answered that.
Yeah.
My next question is, because of the Napoleonic Code, if you do take the bar in Oregon, you won't be able to practice in Louisiana because there's no reciprocity.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I would have taken multiple times, which I love, from the moment that I started studying law at 19 years old, one of the things I thought about is, where can I read where people in similar situations like myself was confronted with here in the United States, and how did they handle that? So when I started reading about the Bill of Rights, we have said a lot of things about those people. They thought, or they felt that they was being oppressed. And those Bill of Rights, half of them, when I learned that, they thought that if they could pass these laws, that they would be safe from the government. And when I read that half of the Bill of Rights, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th, and the first, right to access to the court, the petition to the government, was intended to protect people like me from the people accused of crimes. Half of the Bill of Rights, when I learned that half of the Bill of Rights was enacted for the sole purpose of protecting people accused of crimes, or where the government wants to really come after a person. When I learned that, I fell in love with the law. That I could master this law to protect other people, not just myself. So without the license, without all these obstacles that's always in our way, that I can actually will. Once I learned that these are protections for people like me, accused where the government is trying to crush us, that I'm gonna learn how to use this to help people. And so with a license, without a license, and I suggest that all people, everybody, once I learned that law is the thing that governs us, I got to learn that. And I could wield that power. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. You know, I am. As a matter of fact, I always say that if Amazon Prime knew that they could charge me for every time I watch that movie, as opposed to giving me a subscription, they'd probably be rich. And so I learned, so you're right about the reciprocity. But even without being a lawyer, we still could do things. We have an obligation. This is my belief. That, and I learned this from older guys in jail. When you see somebody being messed over, you owe an obligation to help them. As a matter of fact, in one of John F. Kennedy book, Profiling Courage, I'm not trying to sell his book. I think he done sold a lot of them. And I'm paraphrasing. He said that he quotes the Dante, the furnace fire, that the hottest place in hell is reserved for those that see injustice and do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm. Hear, hear.
So if my life here was all terrible and messed up, just imagine what it would look like on the next one for me if I didn't do what I need to do here. So that, even with the license, with the license, without the license, I still could wield that power. And I always use that for the example because those people back then was being oppressed. And they said they're going to come up with the best solution. And they did. And that's what they came up with the Bill of Rights. You know, the Second Amendment don't need protection. They got big law firms protect that one. Free speech, they got big law firms protect that one. But how about the ones that relate to people that's being accused of crime? Mm-hmm. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th. And the first, right to access to the court and petition the government. I kind of like won't be the champion to wield the first, the right to access to the court and petition the government. For people that's in prison that can't get access to their documents. And that's why I ran for office, really. You know, I'm not, the thing is about the book, but I ran for office because I have the power without license. People write me and say, Calvin, look, I know my petition was filed. I got the certified card, but I hadn't heard anything from the court. Can you go see if it's still there? Because we know that the judges make rulings, especially in New Orleans, and they never tell us about it. Right. And then we miss the deadline. So I spend a lot of time going check. Yeah. I go to Jefferson, I go every place, and I could check, but I just can't check on Tulane and Broad because the records are not scanned. They are being scanned now.
They are.
And so, yeah, they are. Yeah, they kind of like coming into the 21st century. But that's a long answer. But and I kind of pretty much live my life. There's always going to be obstacles. Shit, that's life.
Talk about obstacles.
Overcoming them is how people say, it's not how many times you get knocked down. And this is what this book is really about. It really is a hopeful book. It's about having faith. And I never want people to give up faith just because of what they see. We got to keep on showing up. Keep on showing up. And if you ever want to like wield that power, go look at the Lord of the Rings a few times. Yeah. Go look at the Bill of Rights. You have to have proper cause to stop that person on the sidewalk. And you got a right to access to the council.
I love that you're not letting taking that one test stop you from what you're doing? Because with the education that you have, like for me, I have the credits for multiple degrees. I was displaced by a hurricane, never walked, didn't care, and everyone said, why did you? It doesn't take the education away. It doesn't take away what I'm able to do with what I know. And so you're just proving that, hey, I have the education. I'm using it for good. Don't need this one piece to still make a change, make a positive change for people. And I love that.
Exactly. I only had like an 8th and 9th grade education. I'm talking about a law book. Yeah, give me that law book. I'm a master. And I can't pronounce the words, but I could say emotional line, solemnity. You know, yeah, exactly.
How many times have you read a book where you didn't know how to pronounce the word? You saw it in a book for the first time. You go look it up. You try to figure out how to pronounce it, but it doesn't take away from what you learned by reading.
Yeah, and that judge said that's emotional limit. I said that's the motion. That's the one.
That's the one you're talking about.
When I get back to the unit, it's still motion the line. But exactly. You know, like that's just what really is a really, because what we did, I wanted the world to really. I wouldn't have never. If Sophie, I met Sophie Cole. We was working at the same law firm, and we used to take these long trips to Shreveport. Shreveport had a rebel flag being flown in front of the courthouse.
No kidding.
And that rebel flag may not was telling people like me anything. What, cause it's a flag, and people was going in there. It wasn't talking to people like me. I don't even know what it means, but it was talking to another group of people, and it was telling them what they need to do once they get in that building. So we would go to the travel, long trips, 6 hours. And I needed somebody to talk to about what I had experienced in prison. I just got out, and I needed somebody. And so on these long trips, we were trying to get the people, the preachers, the leaders to oppose that rebel flag from being flown in the courthouse, because it's talking to a group of people to do some damage. Shreveport had sent so many people to death row in the 90s, young kids. I was there. My job at Angola was, I was the jailhouse lawyer for people that was actually sentenced to death. 19 years, that was my job. And so I didn't know about the rebel flag, but I knew all those kids was being sent to death row from Shreveport, and then I'm getting out, and then, no wonder they being sent to death. The flag is saying, and so we was trying to get them to oppose the rebel flag, and they took it down. But on these trips, I would be telling Sophie about my experience. I needed to talk to somebody, and because not to deviate, I used to go on dates and stuff. Meet a woman. I said, I'm going on a date with this woman, and guess what I'm talking about? It's like, man, you want to talk about prison? What else am I talk about?
Did you have a second date?
No. I became a professional rejecter. I didn't have a car, and I'm like, whoa. And so sharing these things with Sophie, and I trust Sophie that she would tell a story the way it happened, and it talks about the guards. It talks about what we did, not just one person, what we did collectively. And it's a part in the book you got to read. I'm not going to tell you all about it. That Louisiana passed a law that was going to bar all of us from court. I'm talking about what's going to seal all our fate. And we went to the warden and explained it, and said, it's going to kill all of us. And the warden was like, you got to read the book to see what happened. And I would always say, if the movie is wrote, it's going to be about how that warden responded to our plight when our lawmakers was intended to crush us. And I'm not going to tell you what happened, but that's how the book was created. And Sophie was the person that I needed to talk to make sense of what I had experienced. And we decided, it took us a long time. But
I love the structure of the book because you go back and forth in time.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see the juxtaposition of where you were and where you are, here and back and forth. It's beautiful. I mean, the way you work together. Tell me about the collaboration. How did you, after you finished driving back and forth, how did you, what was the process of writing this?
Yeah, Sophie was like, man, we got to write this. People, the world need to.
Yeah, right.
Because, like, and I wanted the world to see that there was once, in the darkest place in the world, that it was a collection of, black men, not just black men, but other people as well, came together to help each other fight a system that was intended to crush us. And to be hopeful about what we could do here, not in this country, about the whole process of democracy and believing that it could work. Like we look at what's happening today, but in the 80s, we witnessed them just eroding. And then in the book, as a friend of mine, his name is Joe Washington. Every time I used to try to quote the Bill of Rights to him, I used to read these cases and Strickland and this and that, and I wanted to memorize case. I wanted to memorize the volume, and I'm telling him what Earl Warren said. I'm able to quote, this and that, like I was a real scholar. And he always say, Calvin, look, bro, the law is what the United States 5 Supreme Court judges say it is. So all this stuff you talking about, if the court change, all that stuff you talking about is going to change as well. And we see it. We saw it in the 80s. Right. Now we definitely see it.
Yeah. Right.
And he was right. Those 5 people tell us what the law is. And therefore, it's always important to know that, educate the future, to pay attention, because whoever elect them, they could change the way we live. And so the book really talks about that was during my time, how I watched these laws and what we did collectively to make it, to fight back, to give each other hope, and we prevailed. And we could do it again.
Well, yes, that is a very good ending sentence, because what you did is you came out of nowhere, ran for office, and you got almost 70% of the vote. Yeah. Which is phenomenal.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
And the hope there, the hope there is that if we can somehow or other, November, that's the date. We got to get people out to vote.
Yeah.
But they're not educated enough to know who to vote for properly, or even get out to vote, or how did you incentivize people to get out there and vote?
Good question. I honored their right to make a decision. I was immediate. My staff, all of us. First, voting is the most sacred thing that, in my mind, that we have in this country.
But is it really though?
It is. It is. I'm talking about it is. So let me explain. To me, that's the most important, sacredest thing in this country, and we have to earn it. If we just keep going around thinking it's just for, my name is Calvin, I'm running for this office, just vote for me. No, you got to earn my vote. And how you earn you got to help me make an intelligent decision how to cast it. You got to tell me what position you're running for. Tell me that first. Then tell me something about you. Like I said, tell me how many red lights you done ran. How many times you done drunk and drive. Tell me something. I want to know who you are, because I'm going to be equipping you with some power over me. I want to know who you is. And that's what we could do. No, don't just tell me you went to this school. I don't want to hear that stuff. Tell me something about you. You are asking me to give you the most powerful tool that you could give a human being, the law. We saw during the election.
Yeah.
That law was passed and they took the seat.
Yeah.
It's gone. So tell me something about you. I want to know who you are. And I don't want you just smiling at me today. Tell me something about you. How many times you cheated on that test you took? Tell me something. You can't just make me think you're a perfect person. So that's how we can actually do. We
right.
can hold them to the fire.
So holding
One
him,
of the most important things that I think you did was to educate people
Yeah.
about you talked about this, what is the job?
Yes.
What is the job? What does the clerk of court do?
Yeah.
Once you start shedding light on that, and plus your story, people automatically, you go, well, wait a minute. First of all, why did I never know that?
Yeah.
Why has it been kept in the dark? And here's the story of why it's so important.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to put the same guy in who's been keeping
Yeah.
everything in the dark. You
Yeah.
know.
It's the most important. So when people say, well, what makes this office? What make y'all doing this so different? What is about this office? When you lose your life and your liberty in that courthouse. You leave you could be wrongfully convicted and spend the rest of your life in prison, and you could get executed. So that's why I say that is the most important office in this city. Why? Because Louisiana is the incarceration capital of the world. We send more people from this parish to Angola, and our records are not the place where they take your life in liberty, and nobody knows about this. Every election is important. Every office is important. But that one is more at the top because it takes your life and your liberty. Now, since it's combined, they take not just your life, liberty, and your property.
whoa.
So, in the 14th Amendment, I'm now that's my professor role, that no state should deprive you of your life, liberty, or property without due process. So now they combine. And now it affects your life, your liberty, and your property. If your property deeds ain't being preserved,
all right.
So
What are our marching orders, Calvin Duncan? What do you want us to leave away with?
this is what I want y'all to leave away with. Don't let nobody take your concept of what democracy is supposed to look like. Period. We all entitled to it. And I don't care who you are, I'm entitled to enjoy the same rights that everybody else enjoy, whether rich or poor. And when you see an injustice, do something about it. And if you need some courage after reading the Jailhouse Lawyer, go check out the Lord of the Rings a little bit. They was fighting for Middle Earth. They wasn't supposed to win.
All right.
So it's just worth fighting for.
We're going to have a screening of that. Calvin, thank you so much. This was unbelievable, so special, and this book and all these books here on civil disobedience, on tyranny, we the people, it's all related to what we talked about today. And we have a very special another guest over here, Mr. Brandon, who has got this incredible coffee. Tell us, give us a minute or two about what your coffee's all about.
All right, guys. So first of all, hello everyone.
Hello.
I'm the founder of Collis Cafe. Collis Cafe here in New Orleans honors New Orleans, West African enslaved and free people of color food history. The dish that we brought today that you guys will get to experience, we brought it here to support Calvin in this very signing and city. But Collis is a dish that looks like our city's beloved and famous beignet. I'm always thrilled to announce that Collis is absolutely not a beignet. It is made with cooked rice. It in fact